So, okay, there's got to be an allied race Death Knight questline somehow. How would that go about? In the context of everything that's going on in WoW right now, where we're at, what's going to happen. So that's why during the weekly last week, I said, hey, you know what? What if there is in fact going to be like this whole thing with updated Death Knights? We're going to have a new quest line. And when you, as a brand new Death Knight, when you wake up looking at freaking Sylvanas, right? What if somehow, some way, Sylvanas has the ability to now raise Death Knights to some extent, or to the full extent that the Lich King can. And she would be able to do this with, like let's say the power of the Black Blade. Maybe it gave her some sort of magical boost. And on top of that, it's not like she's alone. We still have yet to see a reveal of Helya, who is her own kind of self-styled goddess of death person. Basically, with Helya's help, that's funny. Wouldn't Helya be able to give Sylvanas some sort of assistance so that she too can raise a kind of sort of Death Knight? It's definitely within the realm of possibility, given Helya's status as a former Titan Forged and the things that she can do. So yeah, helpful Helya. Helya helps. Ta-da! A team up between the two, a continued team up between Helya and Sylvanas is there's some mutual benefit to it. Helya has a grudge against against Odin, the one who made her the way that she is, and that kind of tends to piss you off. The Lich King, even though Sylvanas' Lich King is gone, the symbolism is still there. And it's a symbol of something that made Sylvanas what she is against her will, yada, yada, yada. But the thing is, the Lich King has certain powers. Sylvanas knows that, well, once upon a time there was Arthas the Lich King. She probably knows that that Bolvar is the new Lich King. She definitely knows that someone else is the Lich King. She whether she knows who it is or not isn't all that important. But she knows that the power can be transferred. So maybe she's been kind of working her way this whole time to eventually assault the Lich King directly again. So to this end, she's been slowly raising her own little team of Death Knights with Helya's help. And by the end of the events of Battle for Azeroth, the war campaign is over, she's ran away. She and Nathanos part ways for the last time, because they're going to enact their final plans, which is to attack the Lich King. Why not at this point? Because fucking guess we're gonna YOLO this shit. She's got nothing left. She's just gonna go with what she's got because she has a certain plan. And part of it is to take on the Lich King herself. So here's what the Death Knight starting quest line will be. You wake up, you're seeing either Sylvanas or Nathanos, and they're like, hey, what's up? And you're like, oh shit. But not really, because you're like, my dark lady friend, I love you, blah, 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 blah. Or, oh, Nathanos, senpai, hey, what are your orders? And so on and so forth. So anyway, Death Knight questline. You wake up, Sylvanas or Nathanos is in front of your face, and you meet them. They tell you what's going on. This is what we're gonna do. This is your mission. You're gonna go on a suicide mission to take down the goddamn Lich King. Because reasons. And I raised you, Death Knight, you gotta do what I say anyway, fuck you. Let's do this. So that's kind of the idea. And then Helya, maybe she's helping, maybe she's using her Cavaldir to help support Sylvanas or something like that. Maybe she's just chilling on the sidelines in the background or whatever. But she's just like, yeah, take down that Lich King. And then once you take down that Lich King and take his powers, we're going to take on Odin because we have bigger fish to fry, thinks Helya. But Helya doesn't know that Sylvanas is probably going to just leave her behind, like she's left everyone else behind up till now. The Death Knight questline is going to be, you gain your strength, power up, learn abilities and all that shit. And once you're done, let's go with Nathanos. You and Nathanos are like, all right, dude, we're going to start this mission. And off you go. To take on the Lich King, no problem. So there's going to be a big-ass fight in this new Death Knight campaign. Big old fight. You're going to assault the Lich King from the base of Icecrown Citadel and try to start fighting your way up. Meanwhile, where the hell's Sylvanas? She's like somewhere, wherever. At the very top, the Lich King, who's, chilling on his toilet, still waiting to get it going. He's like, okay, well, I gotta defend this shit from Sylvanas and whatever. And the Lich King was like, well, where the fuck is she? All of a sudden, this is the stupid part that I just want to put in anyway. I don't care how stupid this is. All right, I want this to happen. I want Sylvanas to fly Naxxramas into Icecrown Citadel. Skaboosh, use it as a device to invade. Basically break through the defenses of Icecrown Citadel and skip all the way to the end. Make her way to the very top of the Frozen Throne, just like that. Let's pretend that the Frozen Throne has some sort of magic barrier shit that normally you can't break through. So Sylvanas is like, fuck it, I'm gonna fly Naxxramas right into this thing and then break right in. So let's pretend that happens, okay? Just let me have this. Please, let me have this. She breaks into the Frozen Throne with her own couple of Death Knights herself, something like that. And she's like, haha, Lich King, I'm back, and this time I'm gonna beat your ass. And so they fight, somehow. Lich King, who's just kind of there, he still has his own defenses and stuff. He can still defend himself, but, there's not too much there's not a whole lot he can do. So meanwhile, Nathanos and his Death Knights, who are probably going to be the players too, you make your way to the top of the Frozen Throne too, and Sylvanas probably didn't expect you to. By the time you get up top, Sylvanas and Bolvar, they're still fighting, but with the Death Knight's help, they're able to break through the last of his defenses, and Sylvanas basically captures the Lich King. So somehow, she'll take his power, ripping off the helmet, something like that. She will take the Lich King's power for herself. As for whether she'll do something like put on the helmet and stuff, I don't know about that, because that helmet's big. You know what I mean? At this point, Sylvanas will have possession of the Helm of Domination. She's at the Frozen Throne, which is supposed to be, I don't know if it's a gateway or if it's just like a barrier or just like a place where the separation between Azeroth and the Shadowlands is weak, something like that. She's perfectly positioned. And kind of like the Skull of Gul'dan, Sylvanas can use this Helm of Domination, and her purpose now is to go into the Shadowlands. It's to go into this place that she fears, that she doesn't want to go into, but she's going in on her own terms because she knows that somewhere in the Shadowlands is something that's going to make her a master of death. Some plot device, right? A thing. She's got to get it. She's gonna go in. Fuck everything else. I'm gonna do this. Helya doesn't know this. Nathanos probably knows this. Hence why they said goodbye and why they've been running parallel and they haven't run into each other ever since the events in Ghostlands. So they part ways. Sylvanas, she drops into the toilet. She drops into the Frozen Throne and she just disappears. We have no idea what's going on. She's just gone. When she goes away and say that the link between Sylvanas and the Death Knights, it severs. Obviously, with the Helm of Domination no longer on Azeroth, the undead just go nuts. So there's going to be a world event where the undead are just going nuts. They're going crazy. But not just that. All throughout Azeroth, weird shit starts happening, where the barriers between Azeroth and the Shadowlands start to blur, and parts of the Shadowlands itself starts to seep in. It's like, you walk out of Thunder Bluff and to the left you see Mulgore, and to the right you see Mulgore, but it's all gray and it's all it looks like Desolus, pretty much. Everything's dead, and spirits are like, rah! Doing all crazy shit. They're like, what the fuck's going on? So whatever Sylvanas is doing, or just Sylvanas being in the Shadowlands, is causing insane damage to the world. This is not a world revamp, sort of, kind of, but zones are going to change in small ways and big ways and so on and so forth. Shit's really going to hit the fan, and the champions are like, what the fuck is going on? And so they're trying to first contain this damage. What the hell's going on? Especially because of the undead going nuts. We eventually find out, okay, there's shit going on at the Frozen Throne. Something happened. We need to find out what. Anyone who was there is dead. We need to find out, we need to investigate. So we make our way to the Frozen Throne. We make our way to Icecrown Citadel, which is like in ruins. The place is jacked up. There was fighting everywhere, rogue undead, these guys that look like Death Knights, but they're just acting crazy. Maybe they got seaweed on them. I don't know. You know what you guys are talking about. They're just flipping out. And so the champions of Azeroth, let's lump Talia 4-Dragon in there just for funsies, right? They make their way into Icecrown Citadel. They start fighting their way through. What's going on? What's going on? These Death Knights, these things. Like, what the hell has Bolvar been up to? They make their way to the Frozen Throne. They see like pieces of Naxxramas and other stuff, but they see the Lich King. They see Bolvar, like barely himself. Maybe he's still stuck on the throne itself, I don't know. Oh, and in the meantime, maybe they run into Nathanos. And maybe they kill him. Sure, why not? Maybe it'll satisfy people. But they get to the top of the Frozen Throne, this Horde and Alliance team of like, hey, what the fuck is happening? What's going on? Maybe Talia will recognize Bolvar. Maybe she won't. I don't know. Or maybe she'll find out. Yeah. Plot device, whatever. We learn from Bolvar, well, I fucked up. Sylvanas beat my ass. She dropped into the Shadowlands. The world needs to be saved. And so like, all right, Bolvar, how do we do it? And he's like, fuck, I don't know. Because this isn't like, this is damage that's being done. It's not like a magic spell that's causing these rifts to appear, or these death rifts. I'll call them death rifts. It's not the magic spell that's causing these things to happen on Azeroth. This is damage that's being done. And it needs to be fixed. You gotta figure it out. And so, in some emergency call, the greatest minds of Azeroth are brought together. The smartest dudes and dudettes and of all races and whatever, to try and figure out how to close this thing. And so all these smart people start talking and conversing while the champions of Azeroth are trying to figure this shit out. Eventually, you know, these smart ass people, I don't know what to call them. They should have a faction. They need to have a faction name. I don't know what it'll be. Smart ass people. The smart ass faction. They're like, okay, we think we have an idea. All right? And we'll send our best and brightest to help you. This smart ass faction is basically what's going to be, I don't want to call them Tinkers, but for the ease of understanding, this is the new class that we're talking about. The smartest people on Azeroth. The smartest people in Azeroth are trying to find a way to close off or to separate the Shadowlands from Azeroth as it should be. And that's what these people are going to do. So their thing is they're smart as fuck. They use technology that's created between the greatest minds on Azeroth, using goblin and gnomish technology, titan technology, magic, whatever the fuck they can think of, in order to find a way to do something about this shit. So this world event is still going on. We now have allied race Death Knights created by Sylvanas, who were later released because Sylvanas just left them behind. And I guess Bolvar will kind of assert his control over them, soothe them, or not make them go crazy, so that then Bolvar will say, okay, dudes, I barely made you guys like sane. Do what you want. I don't really have the strength to do anything else. Just have at it, all right? Have fun. So both this Tinker-like class and the allied race Death Knights are going to start at level 120. Woo! Yay! We can level skip. So they're going to start at a really high level. Yeah, this whole world event thing is still going on, where the champions, they're going to be going around and at least trying to contain this damage. But basically, the big events are the worldwide rifts, as well as the assault on Icecrown Citadel, or defense, assault, whatever you want to call it. When the expansion starts, that's where my whole theory just kind of falls apart, because I can't think of a good way to be like, all right, here's a great way to start the expansion. The expansion's world is going to be comprised of both these warped versions of current zones where we're doing content. So like half of like I said, like half of Mulgore becomes this questing area to try to repair this damage that's going on. But another half of it is in these affected areas, there's a rift where we can cross into the Shadowlands, and we'll be able to explore like a zone-sized chunk of the Shadowlands, but you'll be able to see in the distance, like it'll be like Argus, where you'll have big skyboxes and the Shadowlands is going to look massive, but you can only go so far because the technology that the Tinkers created will only let you venture so far into the Shadowlands before you get lost or before you die or something like that. You just can't go that far in. Just imagine it like this. Like, imagine you pop into these new zones. You cross into the Shadowlands, and the most you can do is explore like a small part of the zone. And as you quest, as you do like the main quest line, I guess, you put down these pylons, or you put down this technology made by the Tinkers that will let you explore more of the zone, because otherwise if you try to venture too far out, you get killed and so on and so forth. So that'll be kind of interesting. It'll be weird because it limits exploration at first. Once you're done with the main quest line, the entire zone is opened up to a certain extent. So what you're going to be doing is doing like one half of your trip throughout Azeroth is going to take place on Azeroth itself. You're trying to do something about the damage that's being done, but then you're also crossing into the Shadowlands because you gotta do something. There's some sort of tech involved where you gotta repair space and time on both sides, so that way the damage doesn't spread any further. So the first chunk of this expansion is going to be spent containing the damage that Sylvanas caused. At some point, you're going to go after Sylvanas, try to put a stop to her, and that's pretty much where I'm going to stop. Because anything else would be a waste of time. So that's it. That's the idea that I had. And I'm going to, I might just cut this out of stream and just do that. And boom, I'm done. Video.